Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. My name is Jake and today I'm ranking all the games from the Toaplan Arcade Collection 1 for the Evercade. So for a little bit of personal background on this one, I'd played a few of these games back in the day, but the name Toaplan meant absolutely nothing to me until I got an Evercade. I'd probably seen it on screen and paid little attention to it. It certainly weren't a brand name that would get me excited about anything. And as for shoot 'em ups, because there are quite a few shoot 'em ups on here, I like a few, and I've always quite liked the genre, but it's never been like my hardcore favourite. Although there's been a few that I've absolutely, really liked. I wouldn't say I'm particularly great at them, but a few of them I've gotten good at. When I first got this collection, well, more accurately, when I got Toaplan Collection 2, because I got that one first, I thought it was okay. Too many shooters, and I thought they're good, maybe a bit hard. Wasn't all that taken with them. But later on, I did take the time to get good at a few games, learn them, and actually watch some shoot 'em up junkie videos to get good at shoot 'em ups. I've semi-achieved there. Enough about that. This is just the journey I've had with Toaplan, if you like, and I'll maybe elaborate on that as these videos go on, because I'll do all the Toaplan arcade collections before long, with 3 and 4 not even being out yet at the time of making this video. Anyway, with no further ado when rambling, let's get on to the ranking, starting with my least favourite. And I'll be honest, I don't hate this game, I don't think there's a bad game on here per se. But the weakest, in my opinion, is Guardian. Guardian was released in 1986. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up where you control a robot going around 6 planets, beating up bad guys, as you do. The graphics are nice and vibrant, you've got some decent music, and the gameplay is fairly simplistic, being more in the mould of Kung Fu Master. It doesn't compare to things like Final Fight or Double Dragon. The beat genre really developed, quite quickly after Double Dragon, and this one predates that, and it shows. It's a fine little game. The controls are a little bit stiff and not really that varied, and although the early levels are pretty easy, once you get further into it, the challenge does, the difficulty spikes quite significantly. There's a nice variety in stages as well. It's an okay game, but definitely the weakest here in my opinion. Next up is Alcon, a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up from 1986. It's sci-fi based. You control a spaceship fighting aliens across alien planets, and there's a plot. But anyway, who cares? It's a shoot 'em up. Who needs a plot, right? Anyway, it's more widely known as Slap Fight, which is what I knew it as when I played it on the ZX Spectrum. While it's not a game I played a huge amount back then, I've got any vague nostalgia for it at best. Playing it now is almost like playing it new, to be honest. It was quite a different experience playing it in monochrome with barely any sound on the Spectrum. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's got a Gradius-like power-up system. There's quite a lot of secrets to it. There's a bit of strategy to the power-ups and how you use them, but the bullets can be hard to see. The speed of the ship and limited range of your bullets are annoyances. You do get more speed with your power up and things like that. But yeah, I suppose the biggest problem for me is not so much the game itself, but from when it came out. It's not the type of shoot 'em up that gels with me as much as others. But I like it well enough, and it can be quite good, and it's definitely quite challenging in places. But yeah, just compared to the other shoot 'em ups here, it's quite low on the list really. But again, that's not to say it's a bad game. It is decent, it's just not amazing in my opinion. And next is another vertically scrolling shoot 'em up, which is Tiger Heli. Originally released in 1985, it does share some similarities with Alcon. Although the power-up systems are different and the settings are very different, you've still got the same limited range on your bullets and things like that. And once again, it's a game that loops rather than having a definitive ending, and it's more simplistic. The power-ups are limited to having these little mini helicopters which kind of fly by the side of you and add some firepower. Although it's more simplistic and has less secrets and things, in pure gameplay terms I did find this more enjoyable, which is why it's higher up on the list. The graphics may not be as good and the music a little bit, not quite as good either, but just in pure gameplay terms I found this one more fun, and I find myself coming back to it for a quick blast here and there much more often than I do with Alcon. So while shoot 'em ups and Toaplan shoot 'em ups improved a lot after this, this one definitely had something that I suppose early more simplistic shoot 'em up charm, and it works. And next up we have a bit of a change up in genre with Snow Bros, or Snow Brothers, however you want to call it, which was released in 1990, and it's a single screen elimination platformer, in the vein of Bubble Bobble or Tumble Pop. I don't think it's as good as either of those. I mean, it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I think the actual moment-to-moment gameplay, the feel with the movement, just feels a little bit stiff and not quite as refined as those games. Now, I don't think I ever played this back in the day, but I definitely heard of it and I'd seen it or seen someone playing it. But again, I don't think I ever played it myself, or at least not that I recall. And in terms of the game itself, I mean, I'd say it looks nice, the sound is good, it does everything it's supposed to do well enough, and it's got some interesting mechanics with the whole, rolling and, getting extra points and wiping out the enemies with that. And there's some, quite fun bosses as well. Again, it's a very decent elimination platformer. In fact, it's a very good game, and there's a reason it has a lot of fans. It's just, I suppose I just prefer those other titles, and the other titles on this collection are a bit stronger in my opinion. But again, very good game. Which brings us back to the shoot 'em ups with Flying Shark, which is a World War II themed vertically scrolling shoot 'em up released in 1987. This is another one that was ported to home micros. I first played on the ZX Spectrum, and again I only have fairly vague memories of it, to be perfectly honest. In comparison to the other two shoot 'em ups, although only being released a year later than Alcon, there is a noticeable upgrade. I'm guessing it had improved hardware for it, and it shows. The graphics are better, the sound is better, the gameplay is smoother, and although you've got fairly limited power-ups and you can increase your the range and the spread of your shots and things like that, you're not getting any really impressive different weapons. Your bomb is fairly straightforward, but again, it all comes together much better, I suppose, as the shoot 'em up genre itself kind of matured and developed, and it really shows. I mean, it's a challenging game as well. Certainly at first I wasn't getting anywhere. I was dying a lot and finding it, I wouldn't say frustrating, but finding it less enjoyable. And it wasn't until I really found the flow of the game that I really started to get into it, and it went from being probably one of my less played games on the collection to one I really enjoyed. And it's a very strong shoot 'em up, and I think it finds that nice balance between difficulty and being able to get good, and the bullets are all very visible as well, which really helps. You can learn it to a degree and learn how to dominate the enemies and really control the screen as much as possible. And yeah, it is a really good shoot 'em up. Can't really say too much bad about it really, except maybe that it loops rather than having a definitive ending. I do like games that end rather than looping, but that's a minor gripe. Next up is Tecky Packy from 1991. This is a sort of a block dropping, puzzle type game, sort of like your Puyo Puyo or however you call the things. You drop these blocks into a pit, you match up the colours. If you match 5 of the same colour, whether it be horizontal, vertically or diagonally, then they'll explode and disappear, and you might cause a chain reaction to get a few different lines and get more score. It progresses, you essentially level up, the game gets faster, go for points. And initially when I first played it, I thought this was a fairly basic and not particularly interesting block dropper, and I stayed thinking that way until it came up in Katie's challenge on the Evercade Discord, and at which point, to get good at the game and do well in the competition, I learned it and actually found myself getting absolutely hooked on it. It definitely gets quite challenging. If you don't learn the strategies of matching up and getting the combos, if you like, and things, or maximising what you can get from the other items like the smiley flashing blocks or the dynamite, it does get very difficult. It gets very fast, and reaction times, it's essential. Trying to get yourself out of the hole as the pit fills, it gets rather addictive. In some ways I could possibly have put this as the best on the cart. It definitely gets very addictive if you get good at it, but realistically it doesn't belong there. But it is a very addictive block dropper if you can get past that initial sort of difficulty and really find the fun in it. I really like it. Graphics, I suppose, fairly basic, but the presentation's nice. The music, actually, I really liked. I thought it really suits the whole feel of the game. Yeah, I've really liked this one, and I guess I'm probably in a minority, but hey, if you played it and thought it was okay, maybe persevere with it, get good at it and see if that stays true, or like me, you find there's actually a really good game here. Next, we return to shoot 'em ups with Zero Wing, a 1989 horizontal scrolling shoot 'em up. It's got nice, almost like R-Type inspired kind of sci-fi visuals with ugly aliens, a mixture of biological and technological stuff, and you've got your 2 pods which above and below you. You have a sort of a tractor beam thing where you can pull enemies towards you and use them as a shield. Not to mention you've got some really good music as well. Yeah, it's fairly standard horizontal scrolling shoot 'em up stuff. It doesn't really break the mould or in any particularly major way, despite having, like say, the tractor beam thing, and you've got these fairly standard power-ups like your homing, your lasers, and what have you. But it just does it all very well. I have been trying to 1cc this game, and my sort of the target sort of challenge between me and a couple other people was to do it by November. I don't think I'm going to achieve it at this point because I've been distracted with other games, but one day I will manage it. So far I think I've got to about stage 6 on long credit. So overall it's a really solid, good looking, good sounding, good fun, horizontal scrolling shoot 'em up. Nothing more, nothing less. And finally we've got, which is marginally my favourite game on the collection, Truxton. I say marginally because I really like Techie Packy and Zero Wing. And this, I was really undecided about which one should take the top spot. Visually and sonically I think it's really good. Really nice graphics, very distinct, some absolutely cracking tunes. It's got a really good challenge to it. And it's how well that challenge is, sort of spread out through the game. That made me, I suppose, what makes it best in my opinion. Like I found with Zero Wing, I actually found the early levels a bit more challenging than sort of the middle levels. Whereas Truxton seems to, it has, peaks and valleys. You'll have, your dangerous bits. You'll really, be fighting for your life, dodging things, destroying everything in sight. Then it will slow down, give you a bit of breathing space before progressing on. And I think it just makes it a bit more enjoyable to sort of play through the whole thing. For a long time, I was, rather than trying to save state my through to see or coin feed my way through, whatever, to see the entire game, I was just trying to 1cc it. But I was making steady progress, but with the amount of carts and everything catching up, I thought I would actually just, brute force my way through and to see the end of the game, just really to do this ranking and see if really the gameplay held up throughout. And in my opinion it does. It is a really good game. I think it delivers exactly what it aims for. And it's one of my favourite vertically scrolling shoot 'em ups, at least that I've played thus far. So it's a really good vertically scrolling shoot 'em up. Very satisfying, very rewarding, and well worth playing. So looking at the Toaplan arcade collection as a whole, you've got 8 games, and there's a reasonable amount of variety despite the fact that over half the games are shoot 'em ups. Even with the shoot 'em up genre, you have the variety either in setting like World War II or sci-fi or whatever, or whether they're horizontal or vertical. But you've also got the age of them and how the genre has progressed, and they do all feel quite different. Then of course, you've got a beat 'em up, you've got an elimination platformer, and a block dropping puzzle game. There's a good amount of variety here. Also, all these games are at least pretty good. They all have something to offer. Obviously your taste may vary. If you don't like shoot 'em ups, that's going to be a bit of a black mark against this collection. They also all offer a reasonable challenge. So while the games aren't always the longest, just the challenge of beating them will, give you a good amount of gameplay value and hours out of this. And a number of these shoot 'em ups are very easy to return to and have a quick blast. So I think getting this collection, you're definitely getting your money's worth. You've got some classics, you've got some obscurities, and I think it's a really solid collection. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10 overall. Although if you don't like shoot 'em ups, maybe it's going to go down to a 7.
If you like shoot 'em up, say meow, meow, meow. In a galaxy torn by strife, heroes rise to save all life. Through the stars they fly with grace, taking on the alien race. With power-ups and lasers bright, they bring hope to darkest night. From the bridge commands are clear, their mission, conquer fear. All your base belong to us. In Zero Wing we make a fuss, with heroes bold and enemies grim. The legend of Zero Wing begins. Through the nebula they glide, dodging bullets side by side. In the cockpit courage burns against the foe, the tide they turn with every blast and every fight. They bring hope to darkest night. From the bridge commands are clear, their mission conquer fear. All your base belong to us. In Zero Wing we make a fuss, with heroes bold and enemies grim. The legend stars against the foe, the tide they turn. With every blast and every fight, they bring hope to darkest night. From the bridge commands are clear, their mission conquer fear. All your base belong to us. Zero wing, we make a fuss. All your base belong to us. In zero wing, we make a fuss. A legend of zero wing begins. In the void they find their way, guided by the light of day. Through the battle hearts entwined, together they make the stars align. All your base belong to us. All your base belong to us. We make a fuss. Belong to us. If you like, shoot 'em up, say meow, meow, meow. No, 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 no. We make a fuss. Belong to us. In zero wing, we make a fuss. With heroes bold and enemies grim, the legend of zero wing begins. If you like, shoot 'em up, say meow, 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 meow. If you like, shoot 'em up, say meow, 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 meow. If you like, shoot 'em up, say meow, 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 meow. If you like, shoot 'em up, say meow, meow, meow.
In the void, they find their way, guided by the light of day. Through the battle, hearts entwine. Together, they make the stars align.
All your base belong to us. In zero wing, we make a fuss. With heroes bold and enemies grim, the legend of zero wing begins. All your base